Denise. I'm the HR manager for COSTA Vertical Farming here in Casuarina, WA. We grow mushrooms. We grow about 80 to probably about 95 tonnes of mushrooms every single week. We have roughly 250 employees. 85% of those employees are English as a second language, and 85% of those employees are also female. So we are a very female dominant site here. So in terms of sustainability, essentially we understand that in order to be economically sustainable, we essentially have to be both environmentally and socially sustainable in pretty much everything that we do. So in regards to environmental sustainability, all of the raw materials that we essentially use are byproducts from other essentially primary industries. So for example, our most important process, which is our compost making, is essentially the products that we use in there is chicken manure, which is a byproduct from chicken farming, and straw, which is essentially a byproduct from wheat farming. So rather than those industries essentially dumping that into landfill, we take that and it's gold for us. So we use that along with water to make our compost. We're conscious that we essentially need to be effective and efficient in our use of non-renewable resources as well. So in particular water. So most of the water on site is reclaimed through a dam that we have. So our starting process is our compost making, and for our compost we need chicken manure, we need straw, and we need water. So they're our basically three most important ingredients. Our compost yard is not on this particular site. Our compost is made on a different site, and then essentially that gets transported here on trucks. Once the compost is made and it's transported to our farm, it then goes into what we call our tunnel complex. And in the tunnel complex, we have 30-metre long tunnels. So we have 10 30-metre long tunnels, and the compost is loaded into those tunnels and then it's pasteurised. With the pasteurisation process, we basically heat up that compost and we basically kill off any bugs that might be in there that won't essentially help with the mushroom growing. Then it moves into a different department, and in that department we add peat to the top layer of the compost when it's filled into the trays, and that peat essentially helps with when we water the mushrooms, it retains that water so that the mushrooms are able to grow. The growing department then moves in next, so then they basically take over. So the growing department is responsible for water, they're responsible for disease, they're responsible for checking growing conditions, and they're essentially responsible for just making sure that the mushrooms are growing exactly the way that they should be growing and to the timeline that they need it to be growing as well. Once the mushrooms are then ready to be picked, our harvesting department rolls in, and their job is to basically pick all the mushrooms off what we call the mushroom beds. They're also grading at the same time, and they're placing mushrooms into boxes depending on what the order is for that day. So those orders are dictated by our sales department, and mushrooms are picked and sent out to our customers daily. The boxes are then collected by what we call our post-harvest department, and the post-harvest department work very, very closely with our harvesting department. They're essentially in the same room together, and it's their responsibility to take it down to our warehouse area where the mushrooms are then weighed. Our harvesters have specific stickers that they place on the mushroom boxes, and those stickers indicate their employee number as well. So we're able to track how many mushrooms that particular person is picking, but we're also able to track how many mushrooms are coming out of any particular room as well. So we're able to see that yield performance in every single room, but also we're able to track the performance of every single picker as well. They are then vac chilled. So basically it goes into this big machine, and the machine just brings down that temperature of the mushrooms. Once that temperature is brought down, the mushrooms are then palletized depending on product, and then that product goes into our dispatch fridges. In the background, we always have sales. So working on what are the orders for the day, what are the orders for the week, what are the specials that we've got on this week, next month, and they will let our production coordinator know, and they'll also let our pre-pack department know. And then once we know what orders need to go out for the day, our pre-pack department then comes in, they'll grab that mushroom stock from our fridges, and then it's their responsibility to make sure that they're essentially wrapped in our pre-packaged form, and the correct stickers are placed on them as well, so the correct labelling for wherever it's supposed to be going to. It then goes off into another fridge, and then that fridge is basically where we have our customers come and collect the mushrooms. So our dispatch department is responsible for ensuring that the orders are ready to go. They're responsible for QA checks, and that is QA checks on temperature, that's QA checks on, the right labels are on it as well. And then our customers essentially basically come through and pick up that product, and then they're ready to go to wherever they're going to.